All right. Hey, listen up. All right, guys. Hey, girl. So my name's Martin Knight. This is everyone's first show, right? All right, cool. So I actually asked to teach this one. Right? This is suicide prevention. So you got 3 different courses that are going to be going on: suicide prevention, SHARP, and equal opportunity. So for the most part, I'm going to read word for word what it says, but then we'll talk a little bit, okay? And with that said, if you have any questions, ask. All right, raise your hand, shoot them to me. I'm here to answer them, all right? So, suicide prevention, terminal learning objective, don't worry about that. Basically, it's just how to recognize people with signs of suicide prevention, okay? So, intense feelings. Intense feelings can be loneliness, worthlessness, hopelessness, helplessness, and guilt. So without giving you guys like the baseline of the definitions, right? Just understand that a person that's going and having suicidal thoughts has a lot of stuff going on in their mind, right? They can feel like the world's crashing down on them. They want to, push themselves away from other people, right? I'm sure we've all heard of you join the military, right? People deploy. When they deploy, their brother or sister in uniform gets killed. It's survivor's guilt, right? Like, why them, not me? Wake up. So, couple different signs, all right? Everybody has these feelings though, so understand the difference. Understand the difference of, I'm feeling lonely today because nobody's at my house. Cool, like we all got that, right? But it's a continued feeling. It's a feeling that doesn't go away, that even when you have people around, you still feel lonely, okay? So understand there is a little bit of a difference there. Definition of depression. A psychological disorder marked by sadness, inactivity, difficulty in thinking and concentration, and feelings of dejection. But understand that depression means something different for everybody, okay? So there's no I don't see it as a black and white definition. I don't see it as, you can just throw yourself into that, right? People deal with depression differently. So to me, it's not just a black and white one way or another, okay? Signs of depression: sadness and or fear. Daily activities, so a change in daily activities. So now, I'm speaking as if, it's not like I'm talking to you directly. I want you to feel that way as well, right? But think of other people in your life as well. Is there a change in their activity? Is there a big change in your activity that you can't really explain, right? Is there somebody that you care for that, normally loves to go out and go to the gym with you, or likes to go get coffee, or whatever you guys enjoy doing? Is there a drastic change in those activities, right? So that can be a sign, right? Appetite, a person who just isn't hungry anymore, right? It could be, man, this person really loves cookies and is now turning down some sweets. Okay, that's a little weird. I'm not really sure why. Hey, we always go and get Chipotle together, and you haven't been feeling a burrito for a while. So I know it sounds so simple, but the most basic things can be signs for depression, right? Sleep patterns. So a person who is usually, maybe they're amped up, they're always good to go, but now all of a sudden, they're showing up and they're tired all the time, and they're like, well, I'm not going out or anything. Okay, well, what are you doing? Why is your sleep different? Why are you not rested? Why are you coming here to work when you're normally energetic and you're exhausted, right? So again, understand that people do have bad days and weeks. Those are depression type symptoms, right? But that doesn't mean a person has depression. So it's you can have a shitty week. You can, I got 2 kids. I don't dictate when they get up in the middle of the night, right? I am tired, even right now. It's okay. So, continue. Guilt, helplessness, hopelessness, and so on, right? Anxiety's big. If you walk into a room and you feel like your heart's just racing and you're not sure why, you're going to class and you're just super anxious sitting there. Your foot's just tapping a mile a minute. You can't calm yourself down. Your breath, your heart rate is just kind of spiking. You're not really sure what's going on. It's a sign of anxiety, okay? So, concentration, I can't focus. I can't focus on things because my mind keeps wandering, right? I'm in class and I know what I need to do, but I just can't keep thinking about class. I'm thinking about everything else. And then the constant change in concentration as well. As in, a person whose just mind is jumping back and forth between subjects and topics and just can't really pinpoint themselves and focus on one thing in particular. Okay? Feelings of fear or abandonment. When people feel alone, they feel like people are going to leave them, right? The nice thing with the military, the nice thing of putting on this uniform is you're never alone, okay? You are never alone. There is always someone there who does care. Whether you don't think about it or not, someone does, all right? Someone who is feeling like this will feel like they are by themselves at all times, okay? Someone with suicidal type thoughts. Related factors of depression, imbalance in brain chemicals. Now, there are times where people have some neurological stuff going on that, especially women with hormone changes like crazy, right? Pregnancies, if you get pregnant, that stuff can really hit you. On the same token, gentlemen, you're not having, you don't get the blessing of childbirth, got it, right? But understanding that if you were to get your girlfriend, wife, whoever pregnant, those changes are real, right? My wife dealt with that stuff. And it was stuff that I didn't recognize and I was kind of ignorant to. And it took me a long time to kind of realize that she went through a ton of chemical changes, and it took a lot of research on my part to recognize that. And so from there, I was better able to assist her when she was having down moments and when she couldn't figure it out herself, because it's not logical. It doesn't make sense, but it happens. Okay? Negative thinking patterns, always putting yourself in the negative context or the situation itself, right? I think negatively, this is going to be bad, this is going to happen, and it's not going to be good, right? All those thoughts compound. When you start thinking negative thoughts and when you put yourself in that position, it will happen, right? I don't know if any of y'all believe in karma. I sure do, right? I believe in the positive thought or the thought process of positive thinking and what it does into your actions. I'm a firm believer in that now. And when you are very negative centered, negative shit's gonna happen, all right? If you believe it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be bad, all right? Doesn't mean that shit don't bite you in the ass when you thought it was going to be okay. But I promise you, if you're walking around as a pessimist, it's going to hit you, all right? Difficult life events. So that is different for everyone, okay? The reason why I want to point that out is, for example, you have a person who is super rich as fuck. Things that they're not in the military because they don't need to, right? Or whatever. Their problems are different than your problems, but that doesn't make them less of a problem, right? You and I are completely different people. If you come to me and you say that my brother or my sister, took this from me, I'm not going to downplay your feelings on that event because I would react better. Does that make sense? Right? If you tell me something happened, and for me, I can logically process that and go, I don't understand the big deal, but then I'm sitting here telling you, you just need to get over it. But if it's detrimental to you, I need to validate your emotions. I need to validate your feelings. If it is bad for you, I can't put myself in those shoes, right? I'll go one step further. And this is even talking towards like equal opportunity. I am a white male. I am not going to put myself in the shoes of other people who are not me, right? And I will not play down their emotions to things that I haven't dealt with, right? So life events are different for everyone else, everyone, and that's okay, all right? But having empathy is huge. Caring for other people is huge, right? Frequent and excessive alcohol consumption. Don't drown your sorrows. Don't drown pain. Worst thing you can do is be like, man, I had a hard day, I need a drink. If there's one thing that I've prided myself in my life, now, I enjoy I'm a fruity drink guy, 100%, I'm 30, so I can drink, and I will go to Applebee's and order the fluffiest drink possible because it's delicious, right? My point is, I know if I have a bad day, I have never resorted to picking up a drink because I know what that can lead to. So I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. I promise you that doesn't help. That's a Band-Aid on a wound, right? That wound's still bleeding. There's still internal wounds, all right? So going and resorting to alcohol in order to drown that is not a solution, okay? Warning signs. When should help be secured for the soldier? So I'm a suicide survivor, all right? First time I tried to kill myself, I was 18 years old. Tried to drown myself in a bottle of pills, okay? And my situation was, I grew up, I was bullied. I was extremely bullied. I was beat up more times than I care to count, all right? I've been on a stretcher more times than I care to count. I've had the shit beat out of me because I was always the shortest and I was always the smallest guy. And I was an easy target, all right? I pushed that shit down for years and years and years and years, till about a year and a half ago, I almost killed myself again. And by a year and a half ago, I actually just started as a cadre instructor about 3 months before, okay? So the reason why this is important to me is because no one here knew. No one here knew. No one here knew how bad I was suffering in my own heart and head, all right? I remember I would pick up my gun and I'd look at it and I'd stare. And I would just sit there with my gun. And I just thought and contemplated all the different ways that I could just end things and get my pain over with. Because I was tired of 20 years of pain. Because I never talked to anybody. I never let anybody in. Because I had this wall and I had this feeling that I can't put my pain and my suffering on other people because that's not right. Okay? Signs are hard to tell. You don't know who has them. All right? When we're talking about when should we get help, number one, the best thing you can do for anybody is be a good person. Okay? Be a good person. That's not fucking hard. It is not hard to treat others with respect and dignity. Right? What does Mama always say? Treat others the way you want to be treated. That is the most true statement that has ever been said. Right? Like, I don't want to be treated like an asshole. I don't want to get beat up. I don't want the guy who assaulted me, who ripped out my shoulder, to do that. I don't want to go do that to somebody else. Right? Like, those are things that you just don't want. Right? I don't want somebody to come up to me and talk shit to me because they don't like the way I look. Or they don't like the way that I talk. Or the way that I walk, or whatever it is under the sun. Okay? And so, my biggest thing is people, and the people I surrounded myself with is what saved me. Okay? It's not what anybody did. It's what people weren't doing. I wasn't allowing myself to be around those who treated me wrong. I'm a fitness instructor. I'm a CrossFit coach. Okay? And in that, I have a bunch of athletes. But I also have been a soldier since 2008. I never put myself and my heart on the shoulders of others because I didn't want that burden. But it was when I realized that the people that I wanted to be around were good people. When I wanted everything to be over, it was other people who saved me without them knowing it. Every day I would think to myself that if I don't show up to work and I don't coach, or if I'm not at drill, right, I'm letting people down. And I felt that to my soul. I felt that responsibility that I had towards others, even though for myself it made so much sense for it to be over. I still showed up to work every day and I would put on that smile. Okay? The best thing that everybody did for me was just be nice and be there and say, hey man, you want to hang out? You want to chill? And then when I was down, I had people that recognized that, because I'm normally a happy-go-lucky dude, right? If I showed up and I was down, people noticed, right? They saw those signs. So without them knowing the gravity of it, those people still stepped up. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Because as soldiers, you have the unique opportunity to be in a community that is outside of the workplace. Maybe it's a cubicle, maybe it's a school that there's thousands of students at that you don't know a person's name in your class, and you feel like nobody is there for you. Everybody who's in this uniform here today is here for you. Okay? And you have to feel that, and you have to want to be that for others, though. So it's not about being by yourself. It's not about being everything for yourself. It's for everyone else. Okay? Risk factors. You could die. Right? No. What are the risk factors associated with suicidal behavior? Here, I talked about pills, right? I would take a lot of pills. It was easy. Pop those things like candy, right? Person, maybe you go to their house and you just start seeing empty bottles and bottles stacked, right? That's a risk behavior. It's someone who's drowning something. Maybe they're going to the doctor and they had pain medicine and all of a sudden the Percocet's gone in 2 days, right? Those are signs. Alcohol, maybe they're stashing alcohol and you can just smell it on their breath. Always drinking alcohol. Cuts, right? A lot of people want to resort to cuts, right? A bunch of different risks. Buddy system. That kind of goes in with intervention, all right? So intervention, now this is something that already puts out, ACE. Ask your buddy, care for your buddy, escort your buddy. So ask your buddy how they're doing, right? Have the courage to approach someone who you think might be going through some stuff. Listen, if the worst thing you do is go up to your friend and be like, hey, are you okay? And they get mad because you're asking them, it's okay. That's all right. You did the right thing, right? Caring for them. So removing that stuff. It's hard. Okay, let me put it this way. Your friend gets messed up at a party. They're about to get in their car. You don't let them get in the car, right? Person's drunk. Person's angry. They're going to get pissed off and yell at you or whatever. But you're still going to stand your ground. You're still going to be like, nah, man, you ain't driving. Because you know it's wrong. You know what could happen. If I went to my buddy's place and he's just pounding down alcohol, I'll take that shit out of his hands. Okay, that's me caring. I need to remove that for them. Right? Care for your buddy. And then escort. Don't be afraid to step up and take them to the chain of command. Especially like if we're talking soldiers, right? If you know somebody who has an issue, then approach them, talk to them, try to get them to see the logic in them approaching the chain of command, right? But it's on you. You have a responsibility to your friend to help them get better. There's nothing wrong with stepping up, okay? Your friend might not see it now, but damn, I look back and I am so thankful for what my friends and family have done for me. I am so blessed that I am here. I am blessed. All right? I am blessed that I volunteered. I saw, man, ever since I've been a cadre, I've been waiting to do this. I used to sit in the same brief and think, I want to punch myself in the face. I seriously fucking do. Because I would sit in the same brief and go, I swear to God, if this brief doesn't end, I'm just going to kill myself. As a joke. Holy shit. When I was going through therapy, when I was trying to get the help that I needed, and then I had this mandatory brief with my last unit, and I sat in there and I heard that from other soldiers, I was fucking livid. And I was shaking. I was so nervous to sit in that class. Because I'm sitting here like, damn, like, you don't understand until it's you. You don't understand what it's like to be in this mental state until you're there. Because it's easy to sit back from a sideline and say, what are you complaining about? What's going on? Like, it's not that bad. Back to my point, I'm not in your shoes. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know where my heart is, right? So don't invalidate my feelings and where I'm at and what I want to do because it doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't have to. Because it sure as hell don't make sense to me. Right? Does it make sense that I would be more afraid of getting a divorce from my wife, even no matter how good it can be, and knowing that she would be with another man would raise my boys, but logically it made sense for me to kill myself and not be here at all? That's how fucked up it is. Right? It wasn't until a year after therapy that I sat back and I literally objectively looked at my own thoughts from a year earlier, and I said, that is the most ass-backwards way of thinking. That my kids would be better off with $400 grand from SGLI, you should actually sign up, from $400 grand than having their daddy around. That's the gravity. That's the weight of it. It doesn't make sense. Depression doesn't make sense. There's a bunch of resources that you guys can do. Now, as soldiers, the other reason why I wanted to talk to you guys. For so long, wake up. For so long, I was afraid of saying anything to anybody in the unit because I didn't want to look weak. Because I'm a soldier. I'm a man. Right? Be a man. That is the dumbest statement. Be a person. Be a human. Have emotions. If you're a man, you have emotions. It's okay. Own them. It's fine. Right? But I was so afraid of approaching my chain of command because I was afraid of them seeing me as weak. I was afraid of them looking down upon me as a soldier and that I was inadequate at performing my job. And it wasn't until I broke, guys. I broke. I thought going into your room every 2 months and crying your eyes out for 20, 30 minutes about one little thing that snapped you over was a normal thing for about 10 years. I thought everybody did it. We just don't talk about it. I remember when I was at Fort Riley, I was told in one day that I had to memorize an entire page, top to bottom, of this speech that I had to give in front of the entire NCO chain of command of Fort Riley with the brigade, battalion, and the the sergeant major all up front. Because the person who was supposed to do it bailed out last second. He had something come up, even though he had 3 weeks to memorize it. I had one day, 24 hours. So in 24 hours, that was my entire mission, was to memorize this, right? I showed up the next day, and at rehearsal, nailed the entire thing, right? I was like, holy shit, and everyone was blown away. I get up there on stage, froze, blank, went out of my head. And I can see the sergeant major's just staring this hole in my chest. And they left me up there for about 3 minutes. No one said anything, and I just see people getting pissed. And then eventually, they call me to go off. I went off, I went to my room, and I broke. I broke. Because I felt like I was thrown under the bus, right? But I didn't tell them that I did, because I thought that was normal. And it wasn't until I finally decided I want it done. I want to die. I want to die. I think that's the best thing for myself, for my life. I'm tired of pain. I'm tired of suffering, right? I'm tired of being thrown under the bus by God's will or whatever it is, right? Putting blame on everything else. I was thinking negative. I was waiting for the next worst thing to happen. And then I did. I broke. I was crying my eyes out. And then the first step to recovery is I finally reached out to one person. One. I called my cousin. I called my cousin because I felt he was the one guy to give me the most straight up advice out of anybody. Because he's done some shit in his life, and I was like, if there's one person that tells me something, and the first thing he said is, you need to talk to your wife. And for him to say that, I was like, okay. So then I told my wife. My wife said, okay, let's get help. I said, okay. So I made a call. I found a therapist. I started going to a therapist, very young low. And I found out that I had shit from when I was 10 years old that was hitting me. I was clinically diagnosed with depression at 10 years old, and I was on psych medicine at 10 because of that shit. And stuff that I thought didn't matter 10, 20 years later mattered. But it took talking to a therapist. It took putting myself out there. And then after I felt that I was better, about 3 months in, I snapped. I thought I was good. I've been thinking happy thoughts for quite a while. And I was at a party. Everything's going fine. And next thing I know, I was on the ground in the fetal position crying. And I just kept repeating, let me kill myself, let me die. Luckily, my business partner, I told her about it. I told her about what was going on about a week earlier. Because I started creating a support system of a very few people that I trusted. That any place I know that I went to, that I would have somebody there that I could lean on. Okay? I had one in the military, I had one at work, I had a best friend, and I had my wife and my parents. And at that point, nothing made sense. Nothing. For 2 hours, I cried. 2 hours in my head. It was like if I had the gun right there, it would have been over. I passed out of exhaustion, and I wake up and I went, what the fuck just happened? I didn't want that. I thought I'd been good. And then at that point, I knew I was going to the range. In like 3 months, I was going to the range to qualify. And I was not comfortable touching a gun. So this is where I want to bring it full circle, and where I want to bring it for you guys. Is that I finally made the decision that I need to tell the chain of command. I need to tell the chain of command that I'm dealing with this stuff, because I do not trust myself with a weapon. I don't trust myself with a weapon out of my own safety, not out of the safety of anybody else. I've never feared harming anybody. But I wanted to make sure that if I snapped, it wasn't going to be on a range when I have an M16, in 30 rounds. Right? I wasn't willing to take that chance. So I did all my research. I was like, if I say anything, am I going to get kicked out? Like, people are going to hate me. Like, what's going to happen? Nothing. So I go to the chaplain and I tell the chaplain. The second I sit down, I just start crying. After about 20 minutes, I kind of calm down. And he goes, okay, let's go talk to the first sergeant. And I said, and I made damn sure he knew. I was like, I'm not going to get kicked out. Like, every step of the way, I was just afraid of not being a soldier anymore. And he was like, no, let's go talk. I said, okay. Now, my first sergeant, I respect. Really do. Kind of a hard-looking man. The second I sat down in that chair, I gave him the ass chewing that he was not expecting, and he took it and listened. Because the second I sat down, I fucking knife hand straight to him, and I said, I'm not fucking weak, don't you fucking... I started accusing him of things under the sun that he didn't do wrong. Because I was so afraid. I was so afraid of what was going to happen. And he sat there, quietly and patiently, and then eventually said, you're fine. It's okay. Let's get you help. And then from there, man, the stress was off. We went to the commander. The commander understood, and the commander was a person that I trained before. She knew my best friend at the gym, so she actually had me give my gun to my friend. Actually, I made the decision, but when she found out, she actually called him and said, "Don't give Jason the gun back." But everybody had my back, right? And the guard had my back. The guard was like a critical part of it, is because I put faith in the uniform and I put faith in everybody else. And then I started telling more and more people. And the reason why I'm saying this to all you guys is because when I finally finished therapy and I knew I was good, I knew my milestone, my next level was to say something publicly. Not just to friends, but to people who maybe I wasn't that tight with. So at a Christmas party, I publicly opened up to my athletes and I told them everything. And I said, you guys saved me. The fact that I had to come to work because I was afraid of if I was gone, who would coach you guys? Who would take care of you guys? I was afraid of that. 3 of my athletes came up to me that night to tell me they were suicidal. And the only thing that was saving them was the fact that they had a community. Ever since I've been here, I've had 3 soldiers come up to me. Through God's working or whoever you believe, I've told my testimony multiple times now. And then, luckily enough, I ended up in RSP. And a story that I told to somebody 6 months earlier that had nothing to do with me as far as the person in any association, that person was in RSP. And then that person approached me and said, "Hey, do you remember me?" I said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." It's like, "Oh, I was at that Bible study you gave your testimony to." I said, "Okay." I said, "Were you the person that talked to the host after?" They go, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. Are you okay?" "Yeah, yeah." No. Are you okay?" "No." "Okay, let's talk." And from there, a few weeks later, I spent 2 hours on a Friday night with this person as they bawled and cried to me and opened up, and told me stuff that they haven't told anyone, because they finally felt like somebody would listen. So my point is, you just never know. You never know what people are going through. You never know where they're at. And I need to hammer this home to you guys, because it's how you treat others. It's you that can make the difference of saving your battle buddy's life. Because the worst thing that can happen, their pain's done. If that person kills themselves, they're done. They don't have to worry about shit. It's the things they leave home. It's you guys. If your best friend went and killed themselves and you had no idea, all you would think to yourself is, what more could I have done? And I thought about that, about my friends and family. And that helped me. That kept me around long enough to get help. And so I'm an advocate, and I care so much about you guys that I want to give this speech as much as possible, because if you're going through something, hit me up. Talk to me. I want to know. I want to find you help. I want to help. If you have somebody who is suffering and who you think might be going through some stuff, talk to me. Let's get them help. Let's figure it out. I got a text message from a high school student that I coached 5 months ago at 11:30 at night, 2 nights ago, because he's concerned about his friend. And he said, "How do I get him help?" Okay, let's figure it out. I don't know, but I'll help. So, that's it, guys. There's a bunch of resources. If you're dealing with stuff, come talk to me. If you're not dealing with stuff, be a friend for somebody. Treat others with respect. Do the right thing. Right?
You got a good heart, Sergeant.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But care about each other. All right? We're in this shit together. All right? Big guys. That's it. You don't have to laugh.